Good morning, it's me, it's Johnny Boy. Welcome to Saturday Morning Live. We've got one live view this morning. Yeah, we're from the van this morning. Richard Dowd, good morning, mate. How's it going? I'm in the van. The reason I'm in the van this morning is simply because I want to be able to demonstrate that I'm able to talk about a conversation, have good content, and not worry about props and studios and sound, etc. So if you can hear me this morning, we've got first light this morning, just give us a thumbs up and just let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. That's what we want to know. We've got 3 live viewers. As you join the live stream, it's good for the analytics to hit the like button. So here we are. I'm in my long wheelbase transit van, and there is somebody. Sounds good, mate. Cheers, Rich. Thanks very much. Ali's on here. James Sharps. Good morning, James. How's it going? 9 live viewers and 3 likes. Hit the like button. There is somebody behind me this morning. I'm always so excited, and I really want to sort of get on with the live stream and just tell you a little bit about what's going on. And I always feel that sometimes when I'm in the studio, Silver Fox. Good morning, Ian. When I'm in the studio, I feel I have that security blanket. I've got all those props behind me, and I can change and talk about all sorts of things if I should be running out of topics of conversations, things to talk about. I haven't, because there's plenty to talk about this morning. You can see the title of the live stream. The Paving Onslaught is on. Well, it is on. It's due now. It's happening now. John Ward has just joined us. Good morning, John. And we're talking about the Paving Onslaught. Mike Stapleton. Good morning, Bud. How's it going? Yeah, and you're going to say to yourself, I had that picture of a Viking and a patio, the guy from Vikings, isn't it? You know, because there are raiders, isn't there? There are raiders that's going to be entering the marketplace due to many reasons. One, they are part-timers. Nothing wrong with a part-timer. I really feel that there are people that contribute to the landscaping industry in a way that's so positive and so good that their work is absolutely second to none. But there are people that enter the marketplace that aren't that good, and as a result of it, you'll see copious amounts of patios, driveways, garden projects, whatever you want to call it, across the country. They will be failing after this. When you actually think about it, when you actually think about the numbers, okay, we look at the numbers across the country. We look and we know that if you look and add all those patios as investments, okay, across the country as investments, it runs into hundreds of thousands of pounds. I've personally been to jobs and checked jobs out, and I look at these jobs and I think, my God, you know, why would anybody even pay for that? Okay, why would even anybody pay for those types of patios? Now, let's remember, this live stream is not just about the contractor. It's not about slating people. What this is about putting things in place to ensure that as contractors we do a good job, but also as a consumer. We go on about this week in, week out. Is it a topic of conversation that we should be having week in, week out? But I probably think we need to. And as professionals who join this live stream, what we need to do is to offer some advice for consumers when they're looking to get somebody to commission to do their work. Let's give them the good pointers what to look for. But let's look back now. We're not talking about truths here, we're talking about facts. And the fact is, there are patios that are going to fail for whatever reason. And the caliber of installation across the country, in not just with patios, it's across the board in a garden, whether it's planting, whether it's concreting, whether it's putting wood in, whether it's putting paving in. There's no doubt that things are going to fail. Okay, things are going to fail. So what we try to do on these live streams is about promoting best practice, okay, and where we find the information that is out there that we can share on a platform like this, because there's 12 million views we've had on this platform. 12 million views. So the platform is worthy. There aren't many other platforms that do what I do and what you guys do by joining me every Saturday and helping in the greater community of landscapers and contractors, and also along with the consumers. This is without doubt a great way, a great portal about getting that information to people that need the information. certainly when it comes to suppliers and manufacturers, that they do want to participate in these live streams, and I get asked on a regular basis, but it's where we do it from. And unfortunately, I really feel sometimes when we do it from a certain place, people feel that it's got that commercial element to it, and that's why I wanted to do it in the van this morning, do it from here. I don't know what the signal's like, I don't know what the sound is like, but all I want to do is basically share this information. What do we need to do when we need to ensure that we're going to get a good job? When we look at paving, some of the things, let's look at paving as a whole. When we look at paving, the things that actually basically fail, okay, the things that fail in paving is usually the grouting, the pointing and the grouting. And when we look at the amounts of different types of pointing products that are out there at the moment, right, there are copious amounts of products, okay, and it's difficult to choose from. And I think one of the biggest problems that I feel that where everyone struggles is that the information that we're given on installation of these products is pretty poor, okay? There is information on the packets, and you can read it and you can read the instructions, but those instructions aren't always clear. And the one thing that is clear, men don't read instructions like they should do. They just don't do it. That is a fact, okay? That's not just me saying it. We don't read as much. As human beings now, we tend to watch video and take instructions by watching and learning through videos. And I feel that there are companies out there that don't give enough information about their products. So when we look at pointing, we look at all those different types of pointing products. If you want to mention them, you can. And I don't think a lot of them aren't that good, okay? When we laid sandstone many years ago, we would always use sand and cement, and then you had all the brushing products started coming in, and the actual slurry grouts that are available. And it's without a doubt that people aren't following the instructions, and as a result of that, you've got to a point where you've got a fantastic installation and it fails, okay, at the last hurdle because of the grout. It's a massive problem. And what I try and promote on this channel again is about education and trying to help people. Not that I am Mr. Miyagi, but basically what I am is somebody that's there to help and discuss and bring comments like John Ward now, Ian Power and James Sharp, where they offer that advice and information and the problems and the hurdles that they've come up across. So when we look at patios generally fail because of the point. And the next big thing is delamination of paving. And without being facetious, people's going to say, what is delamination? Bear with me a sec, because I just got to have a drink. I've been into Costa Coffee this morning and I've got myself a hot chocolate. It's a cold day. What is basically delamination? Delamination is basically when the unit, the wearing course that you're working with, and you lay it on your adhesive, your mortar, whatever you're using underneath, and it separates. Basically the paving will lift off. Now for many of you, you may find this a little bit boring because you understand these words, the terminology that's being used in the industry. It delaminates, it separates, and it separates for a number of reasons. When we look at sandstone, and I've done it myself in the past, is that sandstone, when it first came out, it was about 45-50 mil thick. It was a heavy old unit, and you could basically lay those on sand and it's not going to come up. But the difference then to the sandstone now, it wasn't machined, okay? It wasn't calibrated. The paving that we have now is basically very thin, okay? So whereas before those sandstone has a high porosity value where it sucks the moisture out of the mortar, what you'll find now is that the paving is a lot thinner, so it has a greater porosity value. It's going to suck even more water. It's got a less of a distance to travel, the moisture through the slab, in comparison to the past. So what we have to do now with sandstones, we have to slurry the back, okay, to create a bridge bond between the paving unit and the mortar bed. It's so important. There we are. It's so important that we do that, because if we don't do that, that's when you're going to get that delamination. So if anybody is actually thinking about paving now in the future, if you're not doing it, you need to start doing it. So the message is on this podcast is, let's start slurrying all our slabs. It is, bloody internet is shocking. Right, okay. Well, I'm going to go for this for a little while now, and I should have signed in some Wi-Fi. It's so annoying, but maybe we'll get out later. Let me cover some of these points. The delamination of the paving. We need to start slurrying all our slabs. If you're thinking about doing a patio for somebody and you've never done one before, slurry all your slabs. It's so important. Good signal down here in Devon, says Mike Stapleton. Thank you, Mike. It's good to get some feedback about what's actually going on. So when we look at the paving, we need to bridge bond. Your end is fine, Johnny. Cheers, bud. Thanks very much. Really appreciate it. So we want to make sure we got a good bridge bond between the paving unit and the mortar. We've talked about jointing products. What do you use when you're jointing? Some of the systems out there are really good. But what I would suggest, going back to that very quickly now, is that what you need to do is, if you don't fully understand what it says on the can and the instructions that's given to you on paper, on the packet, whatever, go online, have a look, and even phone the company and speak to them about their technical department. And unfortunately, some technical departments are run by people that has probably never laid a slab in their life. That's the thing that we got to remember, okay? Though they have done lots of research and development, R&R, when it comes to paving and grouting systems, they've never ever laid a slab. Many of them have never laid a slab. They have come across the problems, but they've never laid a slab. So think about the grouting system that you're going to have. You need to contact the company. You need to preempt. You need to think beforehand about what grouting system that you're going to use. You need to think about it. Sorry, John, that you're having problems with your internet there this morning. It may have been on my side, I don't know. But grouting systems. So here we go. Let's just do a recap. If you're a contractor or a consumer or a DIYer, whatever, and you decide to undertake a patio, think about the grouting systems that you're gonna use. Okay. There's lots of different grouts that are out there. Some have a higher porosity value than some. Okay. Personally speaking, I have used it and I tried it, but I wouldn't use any brushing products now, simply because it lets the water through the joints. When the water goes through the joints, it gets to the mortar bed, it holds up, then you get the freeze thaw effect with all the water going down there, copious amounts of water. And without a doubt, what's going to happen, the freeze thaw effect, it expands by about 9-10% each time it freezes, and then eventually it is almost like cancer. It's going to eat away at that joint. It's not a good thing to do. You really want to get a product where when the water hits the surface, it runs off quickly. Okay, it gets away. Your jointing product should have some sort of flexibility, and that's why they put polymers in grouting products. Now the polymers allow the flexibility. It sounds all a little bit complicated, but hopefully what this podcast is actually doing, this video is doing this morning, it's just nudging you and giving you a little bit of advice into actually start thinking about what grouting system you intend to use. You don't want to be laying some paving for a period of time and leaving it sat there and not decided earlier what grouting system that you're going to use. It's so important to think about the grouting system beforehand, about what you're going to use. Okay, when we look at bedding mortars, okay, I've talked about bedding mortars so much, and the only way that you actually look at this, I watch a chemist called Tyler Lay. Okay, he's an American guy, and he talks about concrete, and one of the things, the worst thing you can do with concrete is actually add too much water, for many reasons, because too much water evaporates and it creates different voids: gel void, capillary voids, and air voids. Okay, 3 different types of voids. You want the voids to be consistent, okay, and the way we do this is adding the correct amount of water in concrete. And it's the same, it applies, the same principles that apply when we look at mortar beds. They're exactly the same, is that we don't want the water to start ingressing into that mortar bed, because you are going to have problems. What you need to do is you need to reduce the amounts of water that we're putting in the mortar. I've said this so many times, but I'm going to keep saying this. I'm going to keep harping on about this so many times, because it's so sad when you see people that have saved all their pennies over the years and decide to have a patio, and then it fails at the last minute because of something this simple. Okay, something that's simple. It's not a good thing. All right. So when we look at these mortar beds, we have to reduce the amounts of water we're putting in there. The other thing is, apart from the evaporation and leaving that biscuit-like mortar bed, okay, the thing that water does, you're adding lots of minerals. Okay, you're adding lots of minerals, and what will happen is, if you add too much water, eventually when the moisture in the ground naturally enters, and your bedding mortar soaks it up, okay, when it soaks it up, what happens is that you get a mineral deposit start coming out of the mortar and then through the joints. And then if the joints aren't breathable and they're holding underneath, eventually it's just got to migrate, because what happens, you get this wicking effect. The heat, the thermal is actually drawing the moisture out of the ground. That's what it's doing. When it's drawing out the ground, it's pulling all those minerals with it. There's enough minerals naturally in the ground, in the area, in the water table. When you've had wet weather for such a long period of time, your patio is sat in moisture, and as a result of being sat in moisture, it's sacking all those minerals in, and it's only got one place to go, and that's through the joints, if you've slurried the backs of the slabs correctly. So when you get that moisture coming through, that's when you get things like salt deposits. Okay, when you get the salt deposits, it starts building up, that joint needs to breathe. If it starts crystallizing, you're in trouble, because if it crystallizes, it's just always going to be there. So you need it, when it gets to a powdery mildew, right, or a powdery product, you need to brush it off and get rid of it. There is ways of getting rid of efflorescence, as we know, in the joints, but it's not just efflorescence. There are other mineral deposits in the ground that starts coming through those joints. Those joints need to be breathable. They're a portal to allow the moisture to escape. We got to allow the moisture to escape. It's not like tiling on the inside of a house, and the same principle applies to sandstones and granites as well. What we don't want to be doing, the moisture needs to migrate. And when we think about moisture migrating, that's when we move on to sealers and different products that we can use out there. There are solvent sealers and there are water-based breathable sealers, okay? And it's the breathable sealers that you need to use. Don't use any sealers that's just going to cut things out and blank things off and put like a membrane over the top. It needs to breathe. It really needs to breathe. When we look at a lot of guys using SBR on the back of the slabs, SBR is a rubber solution basically, and nothing's going to migrate through the slab, but they're putting SBR in the mortars, and then it doesn't allow the moisture to migrate through. And when it doesn't breathe through the joints and it holds up underneath, you get a build-up, okay, of these molecules that are building up, and then that's when you get that big deposit and the joints start decaying. There's lots to be said on this, honest, there really is, and we just got to keep repeating this process. We can talk about all the technical side of grouting, of slurrying, of bedding mortars and sub-bases. Sub-bases is so important, okay, it really is. You've got to make sure you've got a correct sub-base. If you're a consumer watching this now, or if you're watching this later on, you really need to think about the sub-base your contractor is putting in. So that helps me now to move on to the next stage, is that if you are thinking about commissioning somebody to do some work for you, all the things we've just talked about, they need to specify in a quote. And you're going to say a quote, an estimate, whether it's even written on the back of a fag packet, okay, and I've seen it, all right, or whether you're having a verbal agreement. There's nothing to refer to with a verbal agreement, only word by mouth. It's almost hearsay, okay? You need a contract, okay? You need a contract with your contractor, whatever work they're going to do, even if they're a plumber or electrician. Don't let them carry out any work unless you actually have a written contract, something formally in place that you can identify. Things like I said about grouts, about bedding mortars, about what type of slab, what type of sub base, whether they're putting a stabilizing geotextile underlay, and about the substrate. They need to sort of talk a little bit about methods, okay? It's the attention to detail, the balance and braces of these quotes, okay, of a quote or an estimate. Is entirely how you want to perceive that and how you put it through, but try and get something in writing. These are basically terms and conditions, not just the terms and conditions at the bottom, but also if you're saying you're going to be laying 50 square meters of paving, there's going to be laid on a 6-inch sub base, a 2-inch mortar bed, and is going to be grouted in using a flow point product, for example, okay? That is specification, okay? You're quoting the area, you're quoting your grout, you're quoting the type of mortar and your sub base, MOT type 1, which is a British standard recognized product, okay? These are all terms of conditions. You need to specify that in your quote. If you're a contractor, actually, if your consumer is a little bit wise, they will look at this, and before they decide in some cases that they're going to go with you, they may go to a family friend, or they may go and show somebody your quote, and they say, look, I've had this quote of these people, what do you think? Now, if you've got some specifications and some method actually in your quote, they're going to say, yeah, that's good. That's good. You know, at least they're talking about something. You're halfway there. If there isn't anything that is in the quote that you'd like to be included in your quote, you need to specify this, okay? You as a contractor need to get back to your consumer, and you need to say, look, have a read of the quote. If there's anything that you don't understand, just question the quote, get back to me, and we can amend the quote. Okay, we need to amend the quote. I never said this morning again, okay, I did at the start, but if you can just give it a like, it'd be good for the algorithms. We've got 7 likes this morning, 14 live viewers, and you've got to remember, people will be watching this later on. There are lots of things to consider. I wish I had the whiteboard behind me now, because I'd be able to write all these things down, and this is the benefits of doing a live stream from a studio, simply because we can see things behind us and we can pull things forward, and we can show samples and examples of things that we're actually talking about. This is from the van this morning, because I had to sort of prove to myself that I'm able to talk and converse and try and be a great orator of talking to you guys about the things that we need to discuss. So being able to prove to myself this morning I'm able to still do it from a van. And you know, doing this live stream from the van doesn't have any less value. The only thing that we're unable to do, if I had a little whiteboard now, I'd be able to show you on a small whiteboard and write it down. That's why the props work in the studio. It's certainly not about my ego and having that studio to explain to you. I think on the 17th of March, there is a training day in Bal Adhesives in Stoke-on-Trent. For any of you actually watching now, I'm going to try and share something on social media, and we'll put out the times and the dates. But please come along and meet the team at Bal, because they want to share their experience with you. They want to share their knowledge with you, and the products, of course. They want to talk about the products. And it's not a commercial day. It's not to sell you products, but also to help to educate this industry, because this industry, without a doubt, is suffering for many reasons. The consumers are suffering. The suppliers, I don't feel, and manufacturers, not with Bal, certainly with a lot of other companies, they are letting people down because they're not helping to support and to advise. And that's the good thing about Bal. Occasionally you come across companies and manufacturers and suppliers that will actually go the extra mile and will actually try to help you to sort of get you on the right road. A lot of things they actually consider when they start making these products is they actually look at the British standards, and you know, they will help with it, you know. And if you want to come along for the day, we can talk about British standards. It's not just talking about Bal and their products, it's networking, other contractors being there together. Even if you're a consumer, I would like to invite you to come along, okay? So if you're, say for example, some contractors ain't gonna like this, right? But if you're a consumer and you're considering to have a project, and that project Could be 30, 40,000 pound, even more or even less. It doesn't really matter. The value, whether it's 5,000 pound or 500 pound, the value is a massive value to the person that's actually spending it. If you're having some work done, right, or thinking about having some work done, come along and attend and have a listen, okay? It may open a can of worms because you start becoming an expert, or you'll get a little bit more knowledge in the products that your contractor intends to use on your project. Okay, so if you're a consumer, come along, you can attend, there's no problem at all. Please, I would like to invite you now, formally invite any consumers. This is not about contractors, and even so, it's a networking day. Even so, we can have consumers talking to contractors and asking the questions of what they're looking for. You just may even pick up some work as well. Like, you know, we're going to be sharing this on social media through Bal's social media, and we're going to be sharing on my social media, and you can share it around on your social media to say that you attended for the day. It'd be a great day to come along and network with other contractors and Bal and the consumer as well. So we're going to get some dates out very, very shortly, so you'll be able to have a look at that. Lots of things to say. I'm going to be laying some slabs down in styled paving in Banbury in the near future. I'm going to be laying some paving for my own benefit. We're going to do some social media down there. So if you want to come along, we'll get the date up on that, and you can come along and you can attend to that. We can have a bacon sandwich or a pizza or whatever you want to do, and we can talk anything. And do you know, it just surprises me sometimes when consumers actually, there's lots of things we should have moved on this morning. We talked about the grout and the bedding mortars and the tiles and what type of tiles you're having. We talked about terms and conditions in grouts. We could make a whole video about each one of those topics of conversations, all right? But the thing that we also need to talk about is why a consumer would use a contractor for any reason. And yeah, why would they use a contractor for any reason? You know, why? It starts with why, doesn't it? You know, and the reason you would use that contractor is because they're a professional, apparently, okay, and you need to identify and clarify how professional they are, and you can do that in many ways. You can go and have a look at all the references, okay, and that gives you an indication of where you can go. What I would say, if you are a consumer, also you can maybe arrange to go and have a look at some work they've done. It's a great thing to do, you know, for me to invite. This is where my ego comes in. For me to invite a consumer to come along and have a look at some of the work that we've done, not just to showcase it on social media, but to come along and talk to the customers that we've previously done work for, and for them to say, yeah, you know, we enjoyed having John around and his team. They were good, they were courteous, they did care, they didn't leave any rubbish around, and if they did, they apologised. You know, they were always accountable for everything that they do. I'm just a bit afraid now at the moment, right, that we're going to go into the season now, and I'll be having a call of somebody across the country, and somebody is going to have a patio that's failed, and they want me to go along and have a look at it. But one thing I won't do, I won't be one of those so-called expert witnesses, but what I will do, I will help to resolve the issues in some way. If we can get the contractor to come back and we can give them some advice on what to do, okay, how to go about it, how to deal with it, how they can rectify their mistakes, even if they can rectify the mistakes, but basically deal with the facts that they need to deal with, okay? Facts about whether the patio, or whether the work can be done, whether it's a hedge or a fence, or whether it's some planting, you know, I don't know. You know, there's so many disciplines as landscapers. We cover multiple disciplines in a garden, from planting to turfing, to putting soil in, to putting sub bases in, to building walls, to laying paving, to putting resin down, to laying turf. It goes on and on and on. Without doubt, I take my hat off to all those contractors that are able to deliver quality work at all times. So thank you for doing that. Just spread your work, spread the good work that you're actually doing, you know, and share it out there on social media. Let people see. Allow people to phone you and ask questions, even if it is from another area. And that's what I'd encourage you to do. If you're sharing some of your work and you want to give somebody some advice, even if it's just on social media, is, you know, just give them some pointers and some guidelines. because it's a tragedy in the respect that when people have work being done and it turns out bad, it's just not a done thing. People have worked hard for their money, and the last thing I want to do is lose their money. And I'm afraid we're going to be having this conversation on again in the future. So let's do this again, okay? And next time we'll do it with products. We'll talk about systems. We'll maybe have some tests where we're brushing stuff in, where we're doing some pointing, how we should be cleaning off and not reducing the amounts of water. Water is good, it keeps us alive, it keeps us going, it energizes us, but also what it can actually do, you only need a little bit of water for the magic to happen when it comes between the paste, the cement paste and the aggregate, okay? It only needs a little bit of moisture to make the magic happen for it to start setting. Any more water can be detrimental to your product, okay, for many reasons, as I've discussed this morning. Well, look, listen, I'm going to have my drinking chocolate now. I wanted to do it from the van this morning, and I'm glad that I've done it because we've held an audience for a period of time, which is great. And unfortunately, a lot of people want to see the props, and they want to see the drama, and they want to see the animation of what motivates me, and it does. You can see me with my hands now. I am massively motivated, so I want to leave a legacy behind. I want to be able to, knowing that one day when I pack this up, I know that the information that we've handed out through you guys on here, the information we've given on here, that we've helped with all the comments, all the people listening, the people that watch us later, okay, I know that we're leaving a video diary of the pros and cons of what to do and when to do it and how to do it, and you know, how to go about things. You know, it's going to leave something around. Somebody's going to be saved by this video at some point, and me leaving that legacy makes me feel better knowing that the industry is probably in sort of safe hands through a video that we're sharing. And that's why I share so much stuff. I share so much stuff on the YouTube Shorts now at the moment. I'm working with YouTube Shorts on the short video content, but also I will be posting a long content video after this, and it actually talks about this, okay, again from the van, the van. You can stop it, you can listen, you can take points. If you got any questions that you want to ask me, you can either drop me, well, it's not the end of the video at the moment, but just when you listen to this video and you listen through it, okay, there may be something, listen to all of it, there may be something that may be prevalent to you. So on that note, you say, John, in your video you did mention this, what do I do? Okay, how should I go about it? And I'm more than happy to have a one-to-one with you, more than happy to visit your site if you need some advice on anything. If you're thinking about having some work being done and you want me to come along and go through the process and explain to you what you should expect from a consumer, okay, and even as a contractor, if you need some advice on you know, how you should be doing your quotes and what is best practice, I'm here to help. You know, I won't have all the answers. If I haven't got all the answers, I will be phoning people like James Sharp and John Ward and getting some answers off them, because those guys have been around for a while now. They know what they're doing, they know how to run a business. And the reason I have faith in people like that, the people that are always here week in, week out, because they're here, because they care. They're not here just to listen to me, they care, okay? So if I haven't got the answer for you, we can get the answers. There's no problem with that. We can get the answers and we can ensure that you can get a good job done. If what we need to do, we need to limit the risk, okay? We need to reduce the risk. Got a bit red face now. I've got the heating on in here, and my face, let me let some air in here now, just turn the heating down a little bit. So there we are. We've kept this live stream going for over 33 minutes. Thank you for joining. Drop me an email, info@greentoplandscapes.co.uk. You can leave a message on this video, or you can give me a call on 07795 595 994. I like to think that these videos and the podcasts will get even better, okay? Getting even better. If you've got any advice that you can give me in respect of getting this information out here on a good signal or anything to do with that, you know, and how we can actually do it and how we can get the information out there, don't forget, mind you can share this video as well. And also, please share to me on my WhatsApp. And the number is 07795 595 904. I want to see what you're doing. We've had a couple of pictures come in this morning. Please share some pictures with me, because I am interested in you guys. It's not just about me. You guys, you girls, and whatever you are, wherever you're doing, whatever your religion is, God bless you all. Have a great weekend and be safe. See you soon. Bye-bye.